Hello and welcome back to the No Ball Knowledge podcast. Where today we're going to be doing a preview of the Norway versus England game in the quarterfinals of the 2026 World Cup. Now, Norway is going into this game with a historic win over Brazil, and yeah, I think there was a lot that we learned from Norway in that particular game. Now, obviously, in our review, we bantered the hell out of Brazil, but there is something that I learned a lot about Norway. First and foremost, it's a team that showed me that they can be very organized. It can be very, very well defensively. Obviously, Ancelotti didn't pick his greatest lineup, but they were able to contain Vinicius. They were able to deal with it, which is still a pretty decent attacking talent and very difficult player sometimes to defend. When you look at the likes of Cunha and Martinelli and Vinicius, they show me that they have an incredibly physical but also very technical midfield in the way that they were able to control the ball, the way they were able to maintain possession, the way they were dealing with the albeit unorganized press from Brazil, the ball retention, the fluidity, the touches, the tight touch control, which is incredible when you consider the size of physicality that they have. They show me that they have a manager who is capable of making in-game adjustments and tactical changes with the substitutions of Schletterdrop and Oscar Bob, which is huge for these kind of matchups. They show me that they have two very, very good wingers and Nusa, um, and Schletterdrift, but also Oscar Bob, who can come off the bench that is capable of destabilizing defenses. And then, of course, more than anything, an Erling Haaland that all he needs is just half a chance and he will put the ball in the back of the net. And these are just so many good ingredients from back all the way to the front, from the manager to the goalkeeper to the defense to the midfield to the forwards to the bench. I mean, this is a team that right now has absolutely every single ingredient that they need to cook up something very special in this World Cup. And they're facing off against the Three Lions, who had an incredible and historic win at the Azteca. So I want to get your thoughts on that particular England team and how they're looking leading up to this particular quarterfinal.
Yeah. This I feel like that performance of the Azteca was the anti-England that we have been seeing, at least in our
Yeah.
generation, right? I feel like there are so many winners, at least when it comes to the England side. But for me, I think the biggest winner of that tournament was actually Thomas Tuchel. I feel like we saw a team reflected from their manager. We saw a very smart team. We saw a gritty team, a team that knew how to suffer, a team that knew how to fight. And that's sort of the small things that you get when you go and sign a big manager like him. I feel like his game plan was great. I feel like he had every situation under control. So there's many things here. Like when it comes to England, I feel like they won so much when it comes to going onto a bad stadium, a tough stadium, and winning. So it kind of changes the mentality of the players, of the fans, of the media. So that sort of, oh, England's gonna choke. That's not there anymore. They went and they showed personality on the road at the Azteca, and they won. Then we have the Tuchel side of him. That I mean, let's be honest. He played what? Like they played what? 40 minutes with one man down on the road, and he had every situation, like every sub that he made. I mean, for crying out loud, he put damn Burn out there, which I'm pretty sure not even that guy was expecting to play in this World Cup, and he was just clearing everything, everything. And I feel like he kind of gave himself a big win with the squad that he picked, with the way that they're playing. It was just an amazing win from them. It showed so much personality from other players because yeah, Tuchel could get it right in a sense, but man, it takes a lot of willingness from a lot of those players to actually run to defend for those 40 plus minutes that they were down a man. It's just an incredible performance from all of them, from the whole team, from their coach, and like we said when we talked, in the preview of that game, that was gonna be like the toughest test. And like I just said, I feel like the mentality changed. They better keep that way because it will be the most England thing to go over there, pass the most difficult test possible, and then go against Norway and lose. So now they have to keep building on that momentum. But huge win for Tuchel, the players, and now hopefully, like the media over there in England is sort of behind this team, and they're sort of feeling, like they're part of it as well because we saw like leading up to the tournament how critical they were of the squad selection. So I feel like now everybody's sort of on board with this team when it comes to
Mm.
England.
Yeah, and that's the kind of result that brings people on board. And so, yeah, we have two teams who are coming both off of historic wins. right? Probably, doing a little bit more than what was expected of them. And I think two teams who are right now kind of fancying, their chances to win this game and go on. And it's very rare, I think. Obviously, it's a World Cup and you expect the best teams to be performing, but when I don't think any of us expected at this stage that the game of the quarterfinal was going to be England versus Norway, and that just goes to show how some of the other big nations haven't really been performing. And I think it's going to be a fantastic game. I mean, one of the very first things that I look at, Yadi, is and this, you and I are the same in this regard, is that we look at the midfield battle, right? Who's going to win the midfield? We have this incredible amount of physicality from Jude Bellingham, Elliot Anderson, and Declan Rice, who are of course also very decent on the ball, all three of them. And then you have Berg and Berge and Norway, and Odegaard for Norway, who are also incredibly physical. I mean, Odegaard will be running more than anybody. I guarantee that guy will cover more grass than anybody else on that pitch. But then you have these two absolute towers in the midfield for Norway who were able to show against Brazil that they're fantastic on the ball. Of course, Berger having Premier League experience as well, so he's going to be able to handle that physicality. And so that's going to be, I think, a huge matchup in that particular midfield, not only from a physical point of view, but also from a technical point of view and being able to retain and control the ball. So it's going to be interesting as to where that matchup goes. And I would love to get your thoughts in terms of who you think the advantage falls to here.
I think it's tough. I feel like the advantage might slight edge to Norway.
I
Given the
agree.
fact
I
that
agree.
what we saw in the round of 16, that we saw our Norway team wanting to have the ball, wanting to be the ones that control like the ball, and then from England, we actually saw an England that kind of sat back against Mexico, and they kind of they let Mexico have the ball and try to play on the counter, and that's how, like, for example, like the first goal came. So we'll see. Like, we'll see what is the approach when it comes to these two teams. But yeah, great matchup. However, like you said, even the fact that England's actually going to play with three like players there, three very physical players, I don't think it's going to be as easy for Norway as it was against Brazil, like when they had two players and not the most physical guys. So
Hmm.
let's see. In that sense, it's going to be extremely interesting because I do believe just on name itself, England has the better players, but just on each one of them once, I feel like it's gonna favor Norway a little bit because they're gonna have the ball, and they're the ones that are gonna have to, like, dominate it a little bit. But yeah, that's I would say that's a 51-49 right there type of battle because it's so close. It's so close. So it's just gonna go down to what is England's approach? Is England gonna let them have the ball, or are they actually gonna go out there and try to dispute for it? I personally believe that
Yeah.
England's gonna let Norway have the ball a little more.
Yeah, and I think that kind of leads us into kind of to, like, the managerial matchup that we're seeing here, right? I think one of the things, and I'm so glad you mentioned it, right? The squad selection criticism that Tuchel got, but it's very obvious that Tuchel was able to choose a squad that is capable of playing in multiple different ways, right? And we saw that against Mexico. He could very easily set this to be a counter-attacking team that's going to be able to take advantage of Norway, and he's going to be able to use the pacing behind and the late runs from Bellingham to do something. I could also see a world where he's asking Harry Kane almost to play as a false nine and help reinforce that midfield, knowing that Holland can't do that, and help try to, overload Norway in the midfield to try to control the ball, especially, when Norway's trying to, press them high. So I think Tuchel is definitely going to give that tactical advantage, but the Norway manager, whose name I still do not know, I think showed against Brazil that he's capable of making those adjustments. So I think this game can also come down to game management and tweaks and substitutions. But one thing that is very important, we said it was going to be a huge factor in the round of 16, and it's going to be an even bigger factor now in this particular game, is whether the likes of either Erling Haaland or Harry Kane are going to turn up. And the funny thing is that I actually expect both of them to turn up in this game. And I think obviously if one of them doesn't turn up, it's advantage to the other. But they're just both playing so well that I'm starting to feel like it might actually fall on the supporting cast than these two guys. You know what I mean? But I mean, you have an Erling Haaland who I think you give him just half a chance, he'll put something away, and a Harry Kane whose all around game I think is second to none. That I think is just going to give England and Tuchel so much to be able to take the game to Norway in so many different ways. But will it be enough against an Erling Haaland who just needs half a chance? I mean, the margins are so close in this one. Yeah, they truly they are. And I think credit to Norway because the fact that we're speaking about it in this way, against a team like England with the level of talent that they have is incredible.
Yeah, like we said in our last couple of videos, when you get to this point of the World Cup, you're not expecting your random right back or left back to save you. This is time for the superstars, and this is where they kind of make their money, and this is where Holland makes his money. We saw it against Brazil, and this is where Kane and Bellingham, for example, made their money, and we saw it against Mexico. Like you said, I mean, if one of them doesn't show up, more likely than not, they're gonna be going home. So you
Mm,
have what probably the two best strikers in the world right now on amazing form, both of them. I mean, after that performance, I'm from Holland against Brazil, he must probably feel like he could beat anybody in the world just by himself. So it's gonna come down to those two guys. There's not really much more to look at it. If one of them doesn't show up, their team must. I mean, I'll be shocked if either one of them has a stinker and their team ends up winning the game.
no, I don't. But if there is one thing, is like you said, you'd be surprised if either of them has a sinker. I expect both of them to show up, but ultimately, England tends to have the other stars of the supporting cast that they themselves could have their own individual moment of brilliance. I could see a game where Harry Kane scores a goal. I can also see a game where Erling Haaland scores a goal. But I also see a game where Bukayo Saka can have a moment of magic, or Jude Bellingham can have a moment of magic, or Declan Rice can have a moment of magic. I think England just has a little bit too much where in a game of small margins, they could win even if maybe Norway has a better game plan. And I think because of that, I would have to give the slight edge to England in this game. But I would say this, man, Norway has won my heart in this particular World Cup with the way they've been playing. I'm assuming you concur England to advance to the next round.
Yeah, I would have by the smallest of margins. I think the game is gonna end up 2-1, or it could go either side. I would, like you said, I would give it to England just because I feel like the supporting cast has a little more of stars, and I also give Tuchel like the advantage a little bit. But I mean, we would be surprised if Norway beats them 2-1. I mean, not at all. It's just as small as the margins, and we just have to respect England a little more. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't get closer than this.
It does not. It's going to be a very exciting game, that's for sure. Let us know your thoughts. Will Erling Haaland do it again, like he did against Brazil and not got the English, or will Thomas Tuchel and his three lions just have way too much for this Norway side? We'd love to know your thoughts below. They give us your score prediction as well, and also something else which I think we didn't discuss. If this game went to penalties, who has the advantage? Because I could see a world where that happens too. Would love to know what you guys think, and of course, we'll catch you on the next.